the Ministry of Economic and Job Creation. Holtz Hardware and Supplies, the leader in electrical, building, and everything for the home. Ministry of Economic and Job Creation, achieving prosperity through partnership, economic growth, and sustainable development.
Holtz Hardware and Supplies for electrical, plumbing, and building items at low prices. Everything you need for the home. Rugs, decorative curtain rods, sheet set, picture frames, indoor and outdoor lights, and more. That's Holtz Hardware, St. John's Road between Ebony and Royal Place, Spanish Town, St. Catherine. Telephone 876-648-7166 or 876-648-7017. Holtz Hardware, the leader in electrical and building supplies.
Jamaica. Let us arrive alive. We know everyone has somewhere to be or someone to see. Whether you're going on a trip, headed to a party, running errands, getting gifts, or visiting family and friends. Arrive alive. Slow down. There's no rush. Look out for yourself and others. Don't let your life be a statistic. Too many Jamaicans are dying on our roads. So take time on the road. Arrive alive.
A message from the Office of the Prime Minister.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, U.S. listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live in the main watch, bestiality, and in the second watch, pedophilia. For our social media question, we ask, what are your thoughts on pedophilia? Or minor attraction, as some call it. Share your responses on our Facebook or YouTube Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your comments later on the program, but first, here's I quote.
Good morning, good morning. So today's I quote is an island quote, and it says, "One finger can't kill loose," and it means cooperation is necessary for projects involving more than one person. So one finger can't kill loose.
You know, I think the pronunciation for that last word is louse.
What's louse? Interesting.
I think that is the pronunciation. Be that as it may.
Mhm.
Wow, cooperation is necessary for projects involving more than one person. Okay, so we need to work together. We need to cooperate.
Right.
Not this one man in the island thing cannot work,
Yeah,
right?
can't work, right.
And sometimes even in families, sometimes even in church, don't it? Just don't talk loud. Don't
Listen
talk too
to
loud.
me.
Don't talk too
He's
loud.
the one alone.
The main watch. We'll be back after this break. Don't worry.
Who can allude that? Truthfully. Put in a chicken patty for your little boosting. Add the party specialist with something new on the menu. Cheese or the callaloo in the party too. Make it a cala party. Add the time cause you know we have to have it. Any kind of party. Add the time cause you know me have to have it. Add callaloo and cheese anytime, anywhere to any party. Beef, chicken, shrimp, veggie or soy. Cala party is here to stay. Only at Juicy, the party specialist.
Jamaica. Let us arrive alive. We know everyone has somewhere to be or someone to see. Whether you're going on a trip, headed to a party, running errands, getting gifts, or visiting family and friends. Arrive alive. Slow down. There's no rush. Look out for yourself and others. Don't let your life be a statistic. Too many Jamaicans are dying on our roads. So take time on the road. Arrive alive.
A message from the Office of the Prime Minister.
Educom does it again with the mega car loan sale. 100% financing, interest rate of 6.95% and up to 10 years to repay. Hurry now and visit any of our 9 branches. Call Educom at 876-926-6973 or WhatsApp 876-559-7575 for more info. Educom Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Value through service.
Ready up, Jamaica! Get excited for a one-of-a-kind experience on Sunday, June 4. The Orchards of True Juice Bog Walk come alive with another staging of the True Juice 5K. Come run, walk, and have some fun as we raise funds for the Linstead Hospital. Enjoy the natural beauty of our island while enjoying a truly Jamaican vibe. Entry fee $2,000. Register now at TrueJuice.com. There's no other 5K like it. Follow at True Juice on Instagram for more details.
Follow Grace Sardine, better flavor. Grace Sardine with the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper, that's the winner. Shop on supermarkets, everybody sell it. You all of them nice. Pass the part, me push it.
Grace Sardines, follow the better flavor.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the main watch now. Someone said, and I agree with them, there are few things stranger or more repulsive than bestiality. Now, as we keep this discussion morning radio friendly, we want to understand several things about the beastly topic of bestiality. What is it? What does the Jamaican law say about it? And yes, there is a law in Jamaica against it. But have you ever heard of anyone being charged or convicted for it? And some might even wonder, why should the law be maintained if it's not being enforced? Why is God against bestiality? Our guests this morning are Dr. Wayne West. Dr. Wayne West is the chairman of the Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society, and he's also a medical doctor. We also have on the line Evangelist Joseph Buckland, lecturer, Jamaica School of Preaching and Biblical Studies International. Good morning, Dr. West. Good morning, Evangelist Buckland. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Marshall.
Good morning, Mr. Marshall and Evangelist Buckland. Good morning.
Morning, Dr.
Now,
West.
jumping right into it because, time is precious. What is bestiality? Dr. West, could you enlighten the listeners? I know this is morning radio and it's a very gruesome, awful topic to be.
Yes, so we will. Well, I will go first of all to define it.
But it is something which appears to be rearing its ugly head in these times. So, as unpleasant as it is, we are trying to address it.
Okay.
Dr. West,
first of all, describe a term called a paraphilia, which is a term that's used in psychology and psychiatry. It means an intense attraction to an unusual object. Because the normal object of sexual attraction should be an adult of the opposite sex, really. And it should be consenting. So if you have attraction to any object that is not that person of the opposite sex, an adult of the opposite sex, it's considered in psychiatry and psychology as a paraphilia. So there is a paraphilia called zoophilia, in which people have this intense sexual attraction to animals. And the actual outworking, in other words, if there actually is some sort of sexual contact, it's referred to as bestiality. So I think from the point of view of the definition of what it is, it's a paraphilia, an abnormal sexual attraction to some animal of some sort. And bestiality is the actual sexual activity with an animal. So that's it.
Understood. And many listeners may not know, but our buggery laws, which are in fact, well, buggery is illegal in Jamaica, as most Jamaicans know. And many Jamaicans do not seem to know that buggery, by its very definition, includes bestiality. In other words, the buggery laws that make male to male, let me say, contact illegal is the same law that makes human to animal contact illegal. But many Jamaicans tend to focus on the male to male, and they don't know or tend to not mention as much the fact that the same law or buggery includes bestiality. I just wanted to make that clear. So let's bring in Evangelist Buckland. Sir, your thoughts, especially from a biblical angle, sir.
Yes, good morning again. According to Leviticus chapter 18, verses 23 through 24, bestiality is sexual relations between a human being and an animal. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast, to defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast, to lie down thereto. It is confusion. Defile not ye yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you. This is taken from Leviticus chapter 18, verses 23 through 24. And from this we learn that sexual relations between a man and an animal, or between a woman and an animal, is forbidden by God. It applied not only to God's people, but to those who were not God's people. The culture of the Canaanites included the practice of bestiality, and God said to his people, when you go into the land of Canaan, I don't want you to follow that culture. I want you to follow my commandments, that you abstain from bestiality. And to apply it today, it is God who should decide what is right or wrong for all people, whether they are Christians or not. It is not government, it is not culture that decides what is right or wrong ultimately, but it is God. And our law in Jamaica, as you have rightly said, Mr. Marshall, in the Offenses Against the Person Act, Section 76, deals with buggery. And many people think that this only applies to homosexuality, but it applies to both homosexuality and bestiality. It says, whosoever shall be convicted of the abominable crime of buggery, committed either with mankind or with any animal, shall be liable to be imprisoned and kept to hard labor for a term not exceeding 10 years. Now, people might say, why should this be criminalized? The government or any government has been given the authority from God to punish citizens who break the law of the land, which is meant for the good of society, so as to prevent the continuation of evil practices, according to Romans chapter 13, verses 1 and 4. Now, my next point is, Mr. Marshall and Dr. West, no law which is based on the foundation of the Holy Scriptures should be changed, whether it is in the Constitution of 1962 or in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms of 2011, for as long as the law originally came from God, his command is going to be used when Jesus comes again to judge every person according to what they have done, whether good or evil.
And Mr. Buckland, only because we are upon a break already, please hold the thought until after the break, please. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll go right back on the Morning Watch.
Hardware and supplies for electrical, plumbing, and building items at low prices. Everything you need for the home. Rugs, decorative curtain rods, sheet set, picture frames, indoor and outdoor lights, and more. That's Holt's Hardware, St. John's Road between Ebony and Royal Place, Spanish Town, St. Catherine. Telephone 876-648-7166 or 876-648-7017. Holt's Hardware, the leader in electrical and building supplies.
Breast cancer is real. Cervical cancer is real. Heart attack and stroke are real. And so are pregnancy complications. As a woman, if you are hit with one of these critical illnesses or complications, your whole life can be turned upside down. Total Woman Insurance Plan gives you real insurance protection for up to 15 major critical illnesses, life insurance, and other benefits, including free cancer screening. Get serious about your coverage. Get real protection with Total Woman Insurance Plan from Sagicor Life. Here's why you can't afford to miss the Morning Watch.
I love listening to the Morning Watch because topics are discussed and issues are highlighted that are of major importance, which in turn edify me.
The Morning Watch, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
I like listening to the Morning Watch. I find it very informative. I find it very interesting. The topics that are covered are very, very wide.
The Morning Watch, thought-provoking, insightful, current. Listen for the probing questions with attorney at law Stokeley Marshall and the in-depth discussion with Reverend Dr. Dylan Toussaint. On Thursdays, the Morning Watch is brought to you by Educom Cooperative Credit Union, providing value through service, and Bashco, the store that gives you more. The Morning Watch, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. The Morning Watch is on the family station Love 101.
Educom does it again with the mega car loan sale. 100% financing, interest rate of 6.95% and up to 10 years to repay. Hurry now and visit any of our 9 branches. Call Educom at 876-926-6973 or WhatsApp 876-559-7575 for more info. Educom Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Value through service.
Every Wednesday at 11 a.m. on Love 101, you're invited to listen to Good Morning Minister, a weekly feature where government ministers will speak about the development in their various ministries. Listen for the updates and have your questions and concerns ready to share inside Good Morning Minister as the Minister of Information, Robert Nesta Morgan, and a guest minister or agency head discuss the issues and take your questions and suggestions. Get ready to call in during Good Morning Minister, 11 a.m. on Wednesdays, right here on Love 101, the family station.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch, and the topic is bestiality. Our guests are Dr. Wayne West and Evangelist Joseph Buckland. And, you know, without being too explicit, one of the things that you could argue inspired this discussion today is what I notice seems to be happening or trending in other countries. And I'm going to just look at just a couple headlines from LifeSite News, which is a Roman Catholic affiliated news source. Just a few of them. For example, Spain's decriminalization of bestiality proves, and it goes on to continue the headline. That's just one. And there's also UK TV regulators OK bestiality, another headline from LifeSite News. Another one reads, bestiality on the rise in sexually libertine Sweden. Now, and someone may argue that LifeSite News has a particular sort of worldview in terms of how they look at things, but the fact is that they are reporting news. And for example, the one about Spain is dated February 20th, 2023. these are not dated headlines, they are recent headlines, some of them in an event. Evangelist Buckland, sir, without being too explicit as usual, can you just continue your thoughts that you were sharing before the break? Unfortunately, we have to head to the break and you have to pause. Please go ahead, Evangelist.
Yes, thank you. The point I was making before the break is that no law which is based on the foundation of the Holy Scriptures, the Word of God, should be changed. And the Scripture teaches us that Jesus says, "The word that I have spoken, the same shall judge him on the last day." The Gospel of John, chapter 12, verse 48. So the Constitutional Committee that has been charged with the task of reforming the Constitution of 1962 and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms of 2011 need to understand that any laws that they find in the Constitution and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which have their roots or foundation in the Word of God, should not be changed, because it's not the culture, whether it's the culture of Jamaica or the culture of Spain or the culture of the United Kingdom, it is not the culture that should decide what is right or wrong. It is not a government that should ultimately decide what is right or wrong, but it is our Creator, God, who sets the laws concerning how we should relate to each other and how we should relate to Him. So I want to also deal with the point that if in the event that even if no law in the Constitution or in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms that are based on the Word of God is changed, there is still a problem, because if Jamaica removes from the UK Privy Council and makes the Caribbean Court of Justice the final court of appeal, there is a judicial code dated from May 26, 2020, which governs the way judges at the Caribbean Court of Justice must decide cases dealing with homosexuality, bisexuality, gender identity, transgender, and abortion. And that code says that the judge must rule in favor of diversity and inclusivity, that he must not make any ruling that does not promote the so-called human rights of these activities. And so even if nothing is changed in our Constitution or in our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, if the Caribbean Court of Justice become the final court of appeal, it is already decided by their judicial code that they will legalize these sexual immoralities that are forbidden by the Bible and also forbidden by the Constitution and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So I'm appealing to all who are followers of Jesus and all who believe, at least in some of the teachings of Jesus, and have some faith in God, that if there is a referendum in which you have to decide which is to be the final court of appeal, make sure that you vote to remain with the UK Privy Council rather than to go to a court that has already decided that they will legalize anything that has to do with the human rights that are promoted by LGBT lobbying groups and by abortion rights groups.
Well, you know, Evangelist, we have heard you loud and clear, and I will say that I agree with you, but you know, I am not seeing where bestiality is among the list of things you read, but I think the point you're making is that we should not subscribe to laws that go against the Bible. That's what you're saying, Evangelist.
Yes. I don't think it is too far removed, Mr. Marshall.
Yes.
Because as you see what is happening in Spain and UK and elsewhere, if God is not the basis for deciding what is right or wrong, but the desires of people in a society become the basis, then there is no stopping at what a government may legalize
Once you
in
open
order
that
to
gate, I think
appeal
what you're saying,
to the
Evangelist, is that
public.
once you open that gate, once you give the devil a foothold, once you give the devil a foothold, that's what I think you're saying, Evangelist.
Yes,
Understand it,
he will
sir?
try to
Yeah.
take every part of you.
Yeah. There's a case called the Queen against Boer 1952, which is a case that covers the topic of bestiality. And anyone who is interested can take a look at that case. There's a summary of it if you do an internet search, where the husband very gruesomely had his wife commit the act with an animal. Dr. Wayne is bringing you back in, sir. We haven't forgotten you at all. Now, some people might make the argument that from a human rights perspective, they should have the right to do what they wish to do. I don't agree with them, but some people might make that argument, sir. And they might make the argument on the basis that they're not harming anybody, as far-fetched and as strange as that may sound. Any comments on that, Dr. West, before we wrap?
First of all, let me say I agree with Reverend, with Evangelist Buckland 100 and maybe 200 or 300%. He's absolutely right. The issue that we are dealing with is worldview. What is the worldview that will inform our laws? Now, the worldview that informed our laws up to today really is the worldview that comes out of the Bible. And by worldview, what do we mean by that? Worldview refers to what do you believe, how the origin of the universe, how did the universe get here? And the Bible starts, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. How do you determine what is right and wrong? In the biblical worldview, God who created the heavens and the earth and who understands the heavens and the earth and human beings, etc., he determines right and wrong. The secular humanist and atheist worldview, which is the worldview that is influencing things like the Caribbean Court of Justice and the secular societies in the United States, they don't know who created the heavens and the earth, but they say it's not God. And they insist that it is human beings, and in particularly the elite of the society, like the judges or so the universities, who determine what is right and wrong. So what we have here is an issue of worldview being a secular atheist worldview being imposed, or people are seeking to impose it on Jamaica. Now we must differentiate between science and worldview. There's a big difference. Science tells you what is. In other words, science can say that 2% of the population are homosexual. Science cannot tell you whether that is right or wrong. It is worldview that determines that. So what we must seek to do is to retain a sensible worldview. And the sensible, logical worldview is the Christian worldview. The reason why you have men, women, the man of the year, the woman of the year being a man, is because in societies like that, they are using the secular worldview. And the Bible is right. Thinking themselves wise, they became fools. So in those societies, with the secular worldview, a man, a biological male, can be the top swimmer, the top female swimmer, a woman swimmer. A biological male can be the top female boxer. So both could identify as a woman and beat Shellyan and all of them tomorrow. So you see, when your worldview is darkened and of the devil and satanic, you end up doing foolish things in terms of law and public policy. So what we as Christians in Jamaica and around the world should be doing is pointing out that we do not want a foolish worldview. We want a logical worldview, and the logical worldview is the biblical worldview. And that is why Spain and so on, that used to be Christian in their worldview, are now legalizing bestiality. And they will do worse than that. Because all that is the only, there are rights and there are fake rights. There is no right to abortion. That is a fake right. There is no right to abortion. It's a fake right. Why? Because real human rights come from human beings having values that is determined by a transcendent entity, not by other human beings. So when you have something like the law abortion, a so-called right to abortion. You have some human beings saying the human being in the womb is worth nothing, so we can kill it. That's a fake.
Dr. West?
Yes?
I think you have made the point loud and clear with regard to bestiality, and we have heard you otherwise. And I will say, I don't normally declare my hand, but I totally agree with the both of you gentlemen. We have to leave it there, however, at this time, because we are completely out of time. I want to thank Dr. Wayne West and Evangelist Joseph Buckland for being with us on the Morning Watch today. Thank you for your time and for your thoughts. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Okay.
Breast cancer is real. Cervical cancer is real. Heart attack and stroke are real. And so are pregnancy complications. As a woman, if you are hit with one of these critical illnesses or complications, your whole life can be turned upside down. Total Woman Insurance Plan gives you real insurance protection for up to 15 major critical illnesses, life insurance, and other benefits, including free cancer screening. Get serious about your coverage. Get real protection with Total Woman Insurance Plan from Sagicor Life.
JN Bank Small Business Loans. Tell us your business and let's turn your ambitions into reality. The time by JN Bank Small Business Loans is
7:32.
They're full of life. You're full of love. They're carefree. You care more. That's why we created Child Protector, a critical illness insurance plan from Sagicor Life. It provides coverage for your child in the event of 15 critical illnesses, hospitalization benefits, life insurance, and investment benefits. So make sure your child can live life to the fullest. Apply for Sagicor Child Protector today.
Jamaica, let us arrive alive. We know everyone has somewhere to be or someone to see. Whether you're going on a trip, headed to a party, running errands, getting gifts, or visiting family and friends. Arrive alive. Slow down. There's no rush. Look out for yourself and others. Don't let your life be a statistic. Too many Jamaicans are dying on our roads. So take time on the road. Arrive alive.
A message from the Office of the Prime Minister.
Holt's Hardware and Supplies for electrical, plumbing, and building items at low prices. Everything you need for the home. Rugs, decorative curtain rods, sheet set, picture frames, indoor and outdoor lights, and more. That's Holt's Hardware, St. John's Road between Ebony and Royal Place, Spanish Town, St. Catherine. Telephone 876-648-7166 or 876-648-7017. Holt's Hardware, the leader in electrical and building supplies.
Educom does it again with the mega car loan sale. 100% financing, interest rate of 6.95% and up to 10 years to repay. Hurry now and visit any of our 9 branches. Call Educom at 876-926-6973 or WhatsApp 876-559-7575 for more info. Educom Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Value through service.
Crystal Clear and Sharp Vision Ultra Clear is a total natural herb formulated to activate the adult replacement stem cells in your body, sending them to the eyes to repair the damaged cells. Take 1 teaspoon daily in hot water and watch the improvement in your vision. To get yours, call Hafco Herbs 876-540-8871. That's 540-8871 or WhatsApp 533-0462.
Who is Selassie?
What is the relationship, the differences, and the similarities between Rastafarianism and Christianity? Tuesday, May 8th, on The Rock, join host Bishop Harold Steve Blair and guests Joseph Miller, Joel Miller, and Reverend Clinton Chisholm as they discuss the topic Rastafari and Christianity. That's The Rock, Tuesday, May 9 at 10 a.m. right here on the family station, Love 101, celebrating 30 years of music, family, and love.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what the Jamaicans and the others are saying and doing. And some more positive news today. We have in the Jamaica Observer, trainee pilot in St. Mary plane crash stable. So yes, it's coming out of a tragedy, but this trainee pilot is stable. A bit of good news there. We have in the Gleaner, newborn baby girl found is in good health at Bustamante Hospital for Children. Again, a positive outcome so far, and we pray that it will remain so. And we have some ecstatic news. We have some extremely positive news in Loop Jamaica News. Shelly-Ann Fraser Price named Laureate Sportswoman of the Year. Well-deserved Shelly-Ann Price, and always making herself, her family, and all of Jamaica proud. Those and many other stories in our various news sources. Coming up next, we'll read for you some of the feedback from our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp question, which is, what are your thoughts on pedophilia, or minor attraction, as some call it? And of course, if you haven't done so yet, leave your responses in our Facebook or YouTube. Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-9973125. Using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
Get ready for another inspiring show this Testimony Tuesday inside Alive 1 to 5 May 9, packed with inspirational stories and island-flavored music. 1:45, we bring you the brain-testing Menticize Listener Speak Edition. Stick around for Prayer Blast at 2 o'clock as we ring in the prayer bells of heaven. 2:15 inside The Evidence, we share with you another testimony boasting about the power of God. Then at 3 p.m., we go behind the pulpit for another inspiring story. All this and more will come alive 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. May 9 with me, Sarah, and the Jerpy One on the family station, Love 101. Celebrating 30 years of music, family, and love.
Give him praise. Give him praise. Tell me how you feeling. Everybody feeling.
Every Wednesday at 11 a.m. on Love 101, you're invited to listen to Good Morning Minister, a weekly feature where government ministers will speak about the development in their various ministries. Listen for the updates and have your questions and concerns ready to share inside Good Morning Minister as the Minister of Information, Robert Nesta Morgan, and a guest minister or agency head discuss the issues and take your questions and suggestions. Get ready to call in during Good Morning Minister, 11 a.m. on Wednesdays, right here on Love 101, the family station.
Perspectives through the generations. Life as a youth. On May 10, we speak with upcoming greatness Javian Hawthorne as he talks life, challenges, growth, and experience being a man, a young man. Run, come, and join us on the mailbox at 5:30 p.m. on the family station, Love 101.
Coming up on Campus Connection, May is Child Month. However, we also take the time to celebrate the invaluable work for educators. Do you remember that one teacher who made you smile when you went to class? What are some of the things that we can do to make our educators feel appreciated? Join us Tuesday, May 9 at 5:30 p.m. right here on Love 101 as we hear from our students, parents, and other stakeholders sharing fond memories of their favorite teacher, along with sending teachers greetings. Our teachers really important? And what can children and parents do to make this year's celebration even more meaningful for them? Anyone knows Wagwan on campus? It's our students, parents, and education stakeholders. So you don't want to miss this episode. Campus Connection, Tuesday, May 9 at 5:30 p.m. on your family station. Love, one
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are now in the second watch. And are you ready for a discussion on another very sensitive topic? This one, pedophilia. It is not often spoken about, and when it is spoken about, sometimes it's done either gently or if it is done loudly, it is usually because an offense has been detected. And this behavior appears to be something which is gaining a new kind of traction in these so-called modern times, and it is quite disturbing. But on the Morning Watch, we are fearless in looking at these topics, as ugly as they are. We will, of course, try to be as not too explicit, bearing in mind that this is morning radio. We have as our guests to look at this topic Betty Ann Blaine, child advocate and founder of Hear the Children's Cry. And from the first watch today, we still have with us and are happy to have remaining with us Dr. Wayne West, Chairman, Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society. Thank you for agreeing to be with us for the entire hour today, Dr. West. And Betty Ann Blaine, good morning.
Blaine, I'm so happy to hear her. She's a wonderful lady, doing great work.
Great. Now jumping right into it, lady.
Thanks, Dr. West.
Jumping right into it, lady and gentlemen. We, well, let me just indicate, Dr. West, if you could define for us this, what do we mean? What do people mean by pedophilia? And if you can make a comment on what is leading to the use of the less outrageous term of minor attraction. Why are some persons now using that term? We all know what pedophilia means. Pedophilia is pedophilia. Dr. West, can you assist us?
Well, again, pedophilia is another what's called a paraphilia, in that it is a sexual attraction to an unusual object. Just to repeat, the only thing that sex should be between adult human beings of the opposite sex.
As God intended. As God intended.
As God intended. But pedophilia is sexual attraction to children under the age of 13. Okay, so it's a paraphilia. Now that is how it's still defined in what's called the diagnostic.
Only under the age of 13, Dr. West?
Well, yeah. For classic pedophilia, there are different types of pedophilia. You should be under the age of consent fully, but classic pedophilia. The reason why I put it that way is because we are, as I said in the previous thing, we're dealing with worldview, not science. We must get that concept out of our mind.
Well, of course, the age of consent in Jamaica is 16 for sex. But I want to bring in Betty Ann Blaine before we head to the break. 1 second, Dr. West. Mrs. Blaine, any comments?
Yeah.
Mrs. Blaine, are you with us?
Good morning, Stokeley, and good morning, Dr. West, and good morning, listeners.
Go ahead, Mrs. Blaine.
Yeah, so it's important that we talk about this issue, pedophilia, and the move by LGBTQ plus to rename pedophilia as persons. We have to pay close attention to how this meant their
Mrs. Blaine, I'm going to ask you to just hold. Mrs. Blaine, I'm going to ask you. Mrs. Blaine, I'm going to ask you to hold 1 second. Mrs. Blaine, we are having a challenge hearing you, and we are also upon a break. So can you hold the thought while we try to resolve your issues with your device? Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Sardine for the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper, that are the winner. Shop on supermarkets, everybody
say sardines, follow the better flavor.
The time is
7:45.
Tell me where you get the money transfer. Where you get the money transfer. Where you get the money transfer. Money move like a bird, like a plane, it's a blur. Money quick, money fast, money reach in a flash. This your agent no run out of cash.
Get your Mother's Day mommy transfer at Alliance, May 5 to May 27th, and you could be one of 14 moms to win 50,000 Jamaican dollars. One winner from each parish.
Tell me where you get the money transfer.
Alliance, a member of Satco Group Jamaica. Conditions apply.
Holtz Hardware and Supplies for electrical, plumbing, and building items at low prices. Everything you need for the home. Rugs, decorative curtain rods, sheet set, picture frames, indoor and outdoor lights, and more. That's Holtz Hardware, St. John's Road between Ebony and Royal Place, Spanish Town, St. Catherine. Telephone 876-648-7166 or 876-648-7017. Holtz Hardware, the leader in electrical and building supplies.
Educom does it again with the mega car loan sale. 100% financing, interest rate of 6.95% and up to 10 years to repay. Hurry now and visit any of our 9 branches. Call Educom at 876-926-6973 or WhatsApp 876-559-7575 for more info. Educom Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Value through service.
You work hard to make Jamaica a first-class destination. Isn't it time you receive the 5-star benefits? Retire smarter with the Tourism Workers Pension Scheme, a portable plan that also provides your family with financial security in case of your untimely death. It's easy, affordable, and accessible online. Retire and relax with the Tourism Workers Pension Scheme. Visit twps.myguardiangroup.com or call 876-927-4105. Guardian Life. Live secure. Live easy.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on J&B Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jnbank.com to get pre-approved today. J&B Bank will help you find a way.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch and we're speaking to Dr. Wayne West and Mrs. Betty and Blaine. And the topic in this second watch is pedophilia. Now, just before we continue the discussion, we would like to have a response to the feedback question, which I gather we now have. And for those who are just joining us, that feedback question is, what are your thoughts on pedophilia or minor attraction, as some call it? Please go ahead with the response to the feedback question.
Good morning. Since the Bible is the only infallible standard on sexual relations, and God gave Adam an adult female partner, then sex with children must be wrong. Anyone found guilty should be punished by the law with mandatory psychiatric treatment as a part of his rehabilitation course. Thank you. His or her course, saying that is both male and female doing this.
Well, we have heard the response to the feedback question. Mrs. Blaine and Dr. West, and of course, listeners, we have heard that response loud and clear. Mrs. Blaine, would you like to continue what you were saying before the break, madam?
Right. I just want to say we here in Jamaica need to be extremely vigilant and alert and to pay a lot of attention to what's happening in countries like the United States the designs of the LGBTQ, particularly as it relates to our children. Let me just say that their target is our children. It's the children, not the adults, but it's the children that they are interested in the indoctrination, conformity, assimilation. It's our children. It's their goal. It's their goal to normalize this kind of thing. Now we have to be very careful because the LGBTQ movement has been very successful in how they use words. They use words to sway people. And if you pay attention to things like they describe marriage, same-sex marriage as marriage equality. So they use equality because it sways people. They talk about gender-affirming surgery for children. Look at the word they use, gender-affirming. So now it's minor attracted persons. They no longer want.
I think it is mutilation of children.
Yeah, they know. And let me just say, this is the most blatant makeover job I've seen.
Yeah.
This job of now talking about pedophiles as minor attracted persons. So it's softer, it's gentler, and I suspect they have a goal, and their goal is the next thing we're going to hear is they're going to call for reducing penalties and sentences for adult, male or female, mainly male, that are convicted of having sexual relations with children. So I believe that's what we're going to see next. The first is to change the language, minor attracted persons. And then the next thing I suspect we'll see is that they're going to advocate for lessening sentences for men, especially, who are convicted of, sexual offenses against children.
There's again with reference to LifeSite News, which for those just tuning in is a Roman Catholic associated publication, which is actually highly regarded as putting out very accurate news items. It is reported April 27, 2023 that Twitter shuts down pro-pedophilia account as the platform continues its purge of content sexualizing children, and the current owner of Twitter, Elon Musk, is quoted as saying, "Not tolerated on this platform, not tolerated on this platform." I saw this coming from a mile away some time ago, over 10 years ago, actually, when I used to write for a particular newspaper in this country. I wrote an article on it, and I did see the move away from the use of the term pedophilia to minor attraction, but alas, it seems to be reaching a new crescendo in these times, which seem to be getting darker and darker by the minute. Dr. Wayne West, some persons are going to argue that if the particular minor, and this is not something I'm making up, this is something that I've read, some persons are going to be arguing that if the particular minor isn't being harmed by the activity, let me just call it the activity, that it ought not to be regarded as wrong, and that they have the respective human rights. The child and the adult have the respective human rights to so engage in that conduct, as horrific as we know it is. But Dr. West, how would you respond to that?
Well, first of all, how do you know the child is not being affected? And secondly, again, we're dealing with worldview, not science. What you will see is that the powers that be who have infiltrated the institutions like universities, the United Nations, for example, is the biggest LGBT advocacy organization. The judiciary, there are judges who are activists in terms of sexual orientation and gender identity. So what these people are going to do, they're going to create some fake rights. Again, we say that real rights are rooted in the inherent value of all human beings, because all human beings are made in the image of God. That's the first criteria. The second criteria for real rights is that the behavior behaviors are consistent with design and purpose in the natural order of things. So real rights have to be rooted in those two considerations. I just want to repeat them. One, every human being, no matter who you are, has inherent value because all human beings are made in the image of God. That is the value aspect. Secondly, the only behaviors that can be human rights are those that are consistent with design and purpose in the natural order of the universe. All LGBTQ claims are inconsistent with those two criteria. So all those so-called rights are fake rights. Nonetheless, the people who are pushing this agenda have infiltrated and they belong to the elite of the society. So they are making laws based on human desire. It should be noted that Aristotle, who was a Greek philosopher many years ago, said laws should be based on reason, free of desire. But what we have is an activist judiciary making laws and quote-unquote rights that are based on desire and absolutely free of reason. So what we will find moving forward...
And if I could jump in here, Dr. West, interestingly, Aristotle was not a Christian. Go ahead, sir.
He was not a Christian. He was not a Christian, but he had sense. Like I said, as the Bible says, thinking themselves wise, they have become fools. This is why you have males dominating women's sport, because these people who are elite, who are chasing desire and creating fake human rights based on desire, not on the true basis for human rights, are putting the society at risk. And we will find, as in the previous segment, Evangelist Buckland pointed out, the Caribbean Court of Justice is a court that Jamaica should not make its final court of appeal unless that institution has been revamped as to its philosophy. Its philosophy is going to be taking down the part of these fake human rights and seeking to impose that on our country, on Jamaica, where we live, and going to end up with an LGBT totalitarian state, as is happening in places like Canada and so on.
I will interject here again, Dr. West, because I think so. If I could interject here again, Dr. West, so far, in any event, so far, to my knowledge, the LGBTQIA, I'm not sure how far it goes, but to my knowledge, it does not include pedophilia or minor attraction. Is it that you are projecting that that might happen in the future, Dr. West? To my knowledge, it doesn't include it at this time.
Making law based on desire. So if you're making law based on desire, you will eventually get various courts to say, of course, there's a right to pedophilia. Children have in fact, there's a UN group, okay, that actually made what they call a manifesto, their youth manifesto. They're the group that has strong lobbying power, the IPPF, I should say, that has strong lobbying power, that said that children have a right to sex as they choose. They made a so-called youth manifesto way back, I think, in 1998. And it was endorsed by the UN because the UN is the biggest LGBTQ, and you could add whatever onto it. And inevitably, you can project that the UN will be coming up with fake rights for pedophiles and for children to have sex with pedophiles. That's inevitable. Those fake rights are going to be created by the UN and the people like various activist judges and so on. They're going to be doing just that.
Mrs. Blaine, would you like to give us a final word, and can you give us
I just want to say to Jamaicans, to parents, be very alert, be very vigilant, pay attention to what's going on. Their goal, the LGBTQ plus whatever, their goal is to sexualize our children at the youngest ages. So when you groom them sexually at young ages, they will see absolutely nothing wrong with a so-called minor attracted person approaching them. And it's really repulsive, because when an adult male can be lusting after a little child, it's repulsive. It's repulsive.
Or even an adult female.
Yeah, it's so we have to protect our children, and I just want to say to Jamaican families, to parents, pay attention to the words. They use the words to sway you. So we will talk about pedophilia. We will not say or write or describe them as minor attracted persons, because this is a ploy. This is a strategy. And Dr. West is correct.
We have seconds left, Mrs. Blaine. We have seconds, but finish your point.
Yeah, it's to change laws and to reduce penalties and sentences for pedophiles.
Have to leave it there this morning. I want to thank Dr. Wayne West and Betty Ann Blaine for being with us in this second watch. Thank you for your time and for your thoughts. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us again tomorrow as we look at other topical and controversial issues. And of course, visit the Love 101 FM YouTube channel and Facebook page for this and all other Love 101 FM programs. And of course, listen to the Morning Watch by downloading our Love 101 app and stay connected to us. Love 101 FM, the number one gospel station in Jamaica. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to Kathy Gail, our producer, and to our guests. I am Stokeley Marshall, hanging back up in the morning with the Chicago.
The Morning Watch was brought to you by Holt's Hardware and Supplies, the leader in electrical, building, and everything for the home, and also the Ministry of Economic and Job Creation, achieving prosperity through partnership, economic growth, and sustainable development.